What's up, Army? It is Duke Delate for the Intimacy Liberation Army, and today we're talking about how to be more confident in dating. Confidence is a key factor in attracting and keeping a partner. You're gonna you're gonna get more leads into the dating funnel if you come off as confident, and you're also going to keep your partner around by providing that polarity in your relationship with your confidence. So it's a lot of people struggle with it because we're trained as we're growing up to uh, self doubt, to compare ourselves against others, to figure out that to move the goalposts so that we don't like where we're at right now. But it's useless. In some of my other videos, I've told you guys that it's just useless to beat yourself up. Like it's okay to, want to have better things off in the future, but it's not useful to hate what you have going on right now. So if you're feeling less than confident when it comes to dating, here's a couple of tips that I'm going to give you to boost your confidence and increase your chances of succeeding in the dating and attraction world. Tip number one. You see the stuff on the Instagram and the TikTok all the time. Know your worth. Well, unfortunately, most of these TikToks are negative. They're like, oh, know your worth, and if other people don't see it, just cut them off. And like, okay, great, but the point is that you know who you are. The point is that you know that you have value, that you have something to offer the world, that you have something to give out, and people are going to appreciate. Some people aren't. Some people are not tuned into your frequency. Some people are not uh, designed to be your partner in life, like whatever it is, business, dating, anything. Some people just don't match. But there is a very particular pocket. There's a very particular niche that you fit, that somebody who is a customer in that niche is going to really, really appreciate the uniqueness that you provide to the marketplace. And in the sexual and dating marketplace, you have a very particular set of skills. You have a very particular set of personality traits, skills, um, interests, things that you can offer that somebody is going to click well with. And so rather than look at all the things that you don't fit into and all the things that you haven't accomplished yet and all the things that the people around you may not value, look at the things that are valuable that you do provide. Take a quick note on the value that you provide as a friend, the value that you provide as a lover, the value that you provide as a social counterpart, right? If you're good at wingmanning, fucking know that. If you're good at conversation, if you can be entertaining, know that. If you're very compassionate, you're empathetic, you're able to calm people down when they get angry. If you're able to mediate, if you're able to negotiate, if you have any of these skills that you've built over the long years of your life, there are things that you naturally are good at, things that are drawn to you, that like set your soul on fire. It's like, oh, I love it when this happens so that I can participate in this. Those are great things. And people around you can take that for granted, and they can sort of make you feel like you don't have the value that you do have. Just remember that you have value. Don't settle for less than you deserve, but you don't got to be a dick about it. You don't got to like cut people out don't uh, who don't match with your vibe. It's more important to focus on finding people who do match with your vibe, because the more people in your life and the more value they provide out, the more popularity you get, the more impact you have, the more you can give, the more you can be generative. So it doesn't mean you need to cut people out if they're not properly seeing you for what you're at, but you should shift your focus from trying to win those people over to finding people who actually vibe with who you are. Don't let anybody make you feel less than who you are. Number two, to building confidence, practice taking care of yourself. When you feel good, you act good, you behave well. When you feel scattered, then you act scattered. When you feel tired and exhausted, you feel tired and exhausted. You act that way. And if you don't take care of yourself, then you're going to introduce a lot more chaos into your life than you would have otherwise previously if you were running on all cylinders. So pay attention to your daily routines. Pay attention to your exercise program. Pay attention to. I'm about to go to jujitsu right now. Pay attention to what you put in your body food wise, and what it makes you feel like, and how it, what times of the day that you're better off, and when you're feeling lower. And if you can get some self-awareness into that thing and take care of yourself, you can start amping that level up, your baseline level up, so that you're always kind of feeling good about yourself. And then that will help you mitigate the things in the social environment that may take your confidence out much better, because you're not already dealing with the heavy weight of being lethargic, or closed off, or feeling not like communicating. You take care of yourself, not only physically with the food, exercise, sleep, and all that, but you also take care of yourself in the energy that you hang around. Because if you are constantly getting your knees taken out from under you from a friend who ostensibly does it to help, but he's just abusing you, then just stop that. Or limit that to relegate that to a different a smaller portion of your time, because it's very difficult to access the resources of generativity and giving out when you're worried about like licking your own wounds and making sure that you're okay all the time. Number 3, practicing good body language. This specifically in a social situation, you want to keep your nonverbal cues on point. If you're kind of distracted and not in the moment, and you're off in some corner of your mind somewhere, it's very difficult to connect with other people and then get their positive feedback in real time. If you're present to the moment, then you can properly evaluate what's going on in the people's heads that are in front of you, and then you can respond and provide value, and you can get their gratitude, you can get their appreciation, you can get the validation, you can get all that stuff that you're looking for from people, as long as you can calibrate in the moment. When you're off somewhere in your brain and you're like not attentive to what's going on, then it's very difficult to read their cues and then to get the most that you can out of that interaction. In that vein, running good body language, like maintaining eye contact, like keeping an open body language, your open chest, head up, like that, those kind of confident things. What it can do, smiling at people, what those things can do is give yourself an opportunity to get better interactions with people, where they're more grateful, they're more cheerful, they're more receptive to the things that you're saying and the things that you're sharing with them, as far as like experiences. Also, your mind and body are connected, and so if you act if you behave, in good posture, looking people in the eye, super attentive, looking for ways to provide value, your inner mood will change to match your body language. If you're like caved in and you're like off in some distance somewhere and you're like, what, right? Sigh, right? All that body language is going to map into the same emotional system that it normally is when you do it, and then it's going to keep you down, and your confidence level is not going to be able to grow as highly as it possibly could. So keep good body language. Kind of related, tip number 4 is learn to be an active listener. Jackson did a whole video on this a few days ago. I'll link it right there. And active listening is one of the best ways to kind of get out of your head and in front of the person in front of you, to really take them in, to really engage with them, and give them just kind of that human communicative energy, and then they generally reciprocate. And so having that open flow of energy between you and another human, because you're actively listening to them, because you're considering what they're saying, because you're validating them and they're validating you back, they're asking for your input and your perspective on what they're saying, all of that can boost your confidence quite a bit, because you're busy focusing on the ease of the interaction, the flow of it, rather than you are focusing on all the little idiosyncratic ticks um, or problems that might be between you. So focusing on pushing things forward and providing value and listening to the other person and what they have to say, uh, it's going to keep you in a good social vibe. It's going to keep you in flow. So check out Jackson's video over here, and you can figure out how to active listen and use some of his tactical stuff. Um, Next tip is be open to new experiences. We spend a lot of our times in the social scene guarding ourselves from all the BS, from the ways that we've been hurt, from the ways that we were improperly treated and abused when we were kids, and all this other stuff comes to the mind, and it keeps us kind of closed off and not allowing the world to see who we are. If in one way, if the world sees who you are, they can hurt you, right? You could be if you're vulnerable, then they can take advantage of that. But in the other way, if you don't show them who you are, they can't celebrate you for that. And so a lot of times we can wall ourselves off from connecting with other people because we're afraid of getting hurt, or we're afraid of not connecting in the way that we expect. But closing ourselves from everybody else, and then staying on the surface level, it creates a feedback effect where they're not allowed to celebrate you or compliment you or find you intriguing or think that you're interesting. They're not allowed to do that because you're not showing them any of that. And so if you're opening to new experiences and you're like, okay, what can I experience with this human? Not only how I can provide value, but what can I share? In this moment in time that'll never happen again. What can I share? And there are a lot of charismatic humans, myself included, that are going to drag you off onto an adventure most of the time. And if you find these humans and they suggest something adventurous, rather than evaluating and closing off and staying in your little comfort zone, be open to see, okay, well, let's experience this. Let's try. Obviously, if you've been taken advantage of over and over and over again, especially like under the influence of alcohol, a lot of my clients who go out to the bars are like, well, how do I know, when I'm drinking? It's like, well, don't drink, and like have your wits about you, and then go drive for a little bit, and then add a little bit back in and a little bit back in to where you're having a good time all the way around without having to worry about getting taken advantage of. But but in general, be open to new experiences. And this kind of dovetails with that. Tip number 6 is accept compliments graciously. If other people tell you good things about you, just fucking take in the positive energy. You can always kind of think that they're lying or be suspect of why they're trying to tell you how cool you are. But if they decide to find something that that gives them emotions about you, and then tell you, first off, don't beat them down. don't call them a liar by saying, oh yeah, that's actually not true. That's fucking dumb. Like just take it. And if they're trying to butter you up to take advantage of you in a certain way, you'll see that coming. Like, you're not dumb. So feel free to take the compliment. Don't assign any more value than it is. Like, you know what, I really like that shirt. It doesn't mean I'd like to suck your dick in the bathroom right now. That's not what that means. It means, oh yeah, you had a good choice of fashion, and then you can say, yeah, cool, thanks. I'm glad because I wore it for that express purpose. Thank you very much. And that's it, right? Just accept it graciously, because every time that you don't accept a compliment and you throw it to the side, or you negatively respond, you're telling your inner psyche that you're you don't deserve the praise. You're telling your inner psyche that the positive things that other people see about you aren't true, and you take your confidence out right at the fucking ankles, and you just fall on your face because you're not building up with the positive energy that people are giving you for free. You're actively keeping it out, and you're standing on insecurity and unconfidence at the same time. So accept compliments graciously. Tip number 7: don't take rejection personally. So most people are just fucking not present. They're not in front of you. They're not in the moment. So they're off thinking about all sorts of other shit. Their brain is about the problems of the day, whether they're fighting with whoever they're dating, or their best friend stole money from them, or whatever the hell it is. Like, I see all sorts of crazy shit. But they're not paying attention to you. And so sometimes you'll go in and you'll try to get a good reception. You'll try to get all that validation. You'll try to get the conversation moving smoothly and flow with somebody, and they're not in the space to flow. So then they don't. It's not really a personal rejection for you. Sometimes there are people talking to each other, and they're kind of in their own zone, and then you go talk to them, and then they're like, "Hey, who the fuck are you?" Well, yeah, it's not personal. It's not like, oh, they know everything about you, and then they make their evaluation like, you know what, this is the way that you come off, and this is what you're talking about, and these are your interests. I don't think you're worth talking to. Can you go away? They don't think through all that. They just kind of knee jerk reactions, kind of stay in their lane, and then you're not kind of invited into that space. So it's not personal. Don't take it personally, because a lot of the ways that I see my clients take themselves out for like the entire night is they'll go out and they'll get rejected, and then they'll take it all personally, and then it'll trigger off on all the insecurities that they ever thought they had, and they just go this downward spiral of thinking. Like, don't do that. Just be like, yes, that was not a match. We are not compatible at the moment. Next person. So if you're going out and doing active approaches and stuff, like, definitely don't take rejection personally. There's absolutely no reason for that, because the people that you're approaching ostensibly don't know you, so there's no way they can actually reject who you actually are. They're only rejecting some sort of picture in their brain that they have of you in that snapshot thin slice that they got. So don't do that. Yeah, confidence. Oh yeah. I'm gonna skip that one because it's stupid. Why did I write that? Yes. Uh, prepare. So there are a lot of ways that a lot of things. Let's say, for example, that you're going to go out to a bar tonight, and you're going to go talk to a bunch of people, and you're going to go dance, or you're going to karaoke, or whatever it is going to be. Well, if you know you're going to go karaoke, maybe you should have a song picked up. Maybe you should turn that song on YouTube in your car and sing along with it, so you have a little bit of performance confidence, so that when you get up there, you're not just like, I don't remember the words. If you know you're going to a country line dancing club, perhaps prepare and be like, okay, might have to do some line dancing. What is the way to prepare? Well, most of these clubs, they have an hour earlier than the actual club starts, they have a dance lesson that is $5, and you go in and you learn one of the dances, and so you can just save yourself the embarrassment and the dumbness when you're feeling like, I don't feel like I don't belong in this environment. Everybody else is having a good time, and I'm not having a good time. You just save yourself that by going and preparing for whatever event's going on at the place you're going to. Similarly, at the coffee shop, if you're going to talk to somebody socially, and they're sitting there at the table, it's really hard to get out of the momentum of like self-absorption to like, hi, let me interrupt you in the middle of your coffee. Like, but if you're like thinking to yourself on the way into the place, and you're like, okay, I want to meet somebody new. I'm gonna have a bright eyes, and kind of make eye contact with people and sort of invite myself conversationally. As you walk in, you can start doing this thing, and then you're much more aware of who's going to be receptive to you, and whether they're going to be responsive. Because very often I'll go into a day game scenario with my clients, and I will just talk to everybody, and everybody's fine because I'm like in the zone. and my clients are just not in the zone. They're hotter than me. They make more money than me. From comparison level, like these guys are awesome, and I'm not as awesome as they are as far as like external whatever. But what I do have is that skill set where I could just turn it on and then just be super social and without really any fear of being rejected because I calibrate really really well. So if you're going to go into a scenario, don't just like, okay, well, I hope it all works out. Sometimes there are good times to do that, but if you're gonna have the ability to prepare, like you're gonna go karaoke, pick a song. Like it's not rocket science. If you go out there and then you're confident of uh, at least one small thing that you can do in that space, then it makes you feel like you fit in more. And let's do the ninth one. Tip number 9: don't be afraid to be vulnerable. Like I said in the beginning, the answer is not be yourself because yourself may suck, but the answer is to be vulnerable. Let people see who you actually are because they could celebrate that just as easily as they could take it out. And the more you do that, the more you can calibrate to people responding to how you actually are and not trying to impression manage something that you can't keep up. When that happens, it'll be a much easier path when you look at yourself and be like, all right, am I doing well? The answer is yes. Not, am I doing well according to these weird standards, according to this thing that I think I might have down, but I'm not, don't know, what if they find out? Like, all that's really complicated. But if you're you and you're vulnerable and people don't like that, that's okay. You can work on that. And people do like that, it's much easier to look back at yourself and be like, aha, I am much more confident now because these people accept me for who I actually am and not some sort of weird lie. Anyway, dating can be super intimidating, but if you work on your confidence, you stay true to yourself, you be you, you be vulnerable, you're going to increase your chances of success of people actually liking you for you. Find a partner who values you, who respects you, and remember, be kind to yourself, stay positive, and I'll see you guys tomorrow on my series of becoming more attractive. Let me know in the comments you got any questions, or hit me up in the DMs on Instagram if I need to flesh out any of these concepts. I will see you tomorrow, and until then, stay awesome.